Across the United States, Native women are vanishing without a trace.
We hear about these women disappearing. I never thought it would happen to us.
To understand why, I'm meeting some of the country's most vulnerable people.
Leave me alone!
You said
Don't
you can't
tell
come
me
in.
I know the
And following the women who just won't give up searching.
Women need to lead this movement because we're the life givers.
I'm in South Dakota, where there are currently twice as many Indigenous women missing than all other women combined. Here in Rapid City, I'm meeting a private investigator who's looking for one of them.
You know, dead Indians down here is the norm, and we're trying to make it not the norm.
Lissa Yellowbird Chase has been searching for missing women for over 13 years. Her past cases have involved everything from runaways, domestic violence to murder. Her work has been crucial to high-profile investigations, including the FBI's prosecution of the 3 men who killed her niece.
What happened just there?
He's just interested, probably smelled something he never smelled before.
Okay.
Well, yeah, when there's a hit, you'll know.
You will know.
This week, Lissa is searching for Susan Fast-Eagle, a 30-year-old Native woman who's been missing for 5 months. Susan comes from a nearby Indian reservation. When she visits the city, she spends time amongst the homeless community that live along this creek, where a number of bodies have been found in recent years.
Settle. I don't have no gloves, but there's a piece of clothing in there.
Oh, wow, look.
Like knowing how many of our relatives had died in this creek, I find it intriguing that all this red, like moss or whatever, is lining the creek. It just signifies the bloodshed that was here and how sacred they are to us, and that's why we're here.
Government data on missing Indigenous women is limited. In 2020, around 230 cases were logged by the Department of Justice. In the same year, an NGO estimated that number was closer to 2,300. To those who advocate on behalf of missing women, this is an institutional blind spot that's symbolic of the nation's careless attitude towards vulnerable Native people.
When people think about the people who live in the streets, you know, the general consensus is like, oh, you know, they chose that kind of life. They could get a job like anybody else. They don't think about the trauma.
What impact do you think that has when police are investigating?
This is just the way to shove our people off. Investigations cost money. We'd rather save that for Susie Q down the street, you know.
And when you say that, you mean a white person?
Pretty much.
Lissa's spirited defence of the homeless comes from her own experience of living in the streets. She hears that Susan's mother-in-law is visiting Rapid City for the day, so we cross town to meet her and find out more about Susan's life.
So, where's Susan's family?
Her father passed away maybe 20 years ago, and her mother passed away probably 4 years ago.
And she has one child, right?
And one child.
That's her teenage daughter.
She's 12 years old.
Yeah, okay.
She's at my house now. We hear about these women disappearing. I never thought it would happen to us. But Susan is gullible, soft-spoken, kind. And when you're drunk, you can't think straight.
Susie tells us that both Susan and her husband Tommy drink heavily. This is a red flag for Lissa, who has more questions about their relationship.
What was it like with them two as far as domestic abuse?
Well, I didn't see physical abuse. Maybe sometimes like verbal abuse when they're intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were sober, they were sweet.
Can you just tell me what is Susan like?
Susan is a healthy, rambunctious, cheery girl. Good cook.
What message would you like to say to Susan if she could hear, or if you think that she is still there?
Remember? I was there for you, Sue. I'm here for you. I love you, Sue. Look at the moon, because we share the moon and the stars.
Rapid City is in close proximity to two large Indian reservations, and the police force here are very familiar with cases like Susan's. This is where she was last seen, and that means Captain James Johns has to explore leads in her case among the city's homeless community. Just driving through here, what are you kind of looking out for? What are you seeing when you are patrolling an area like this?
Well, I'm making sure that nobody is just hanging out, passed out. If somebody's just laying on the ground, obviously that's a concern, and we want to make sure that they're okay, and you check their welfare. And
Is her nose bleeding?
yeah. Hang on. Hi, what's going on? All right, let's go talk underneath the bridge.
No, I don't.
What's your name? You're not gonna tell me your name? Hey, you can't walk away. You gotta stay here. Hey,
Identify yourself first.
I'm Captain Johns with the Rapid City Police Department. How's that?
All right, thank you.
So what's your name?
I got a right to remain silent.
You do have a right to remain silent. You absolutely do.
This situation shows that Rapid City PD are routinely dealing with problems they say they don't have specialist training for, like homelessness and addiction.
The vast majority of our homeless population is Native American. And the reality is a lot of folks here do choose to be homeless. They choose to live in this fashion, and Rapid City seems to be a comfortable place to do that.
How much resources does it take to police this?
The chronic alcoholism and the chronic homelessness is really, it's crippling to an agency, because our guys would rather be doing something else. There are better people to do this task than us.
On a break, I asked Captain Johns why so many campaigners feel that cases of missing Indigenous women aren't being properly investigated. They say, actually, we don't feel like the police put enough resources into finding our missing loved one, and we think that that's because of, quite frankly, just because of the color of their skin.
And that's a clue to me that we haven't done enough communication. We haven't done enough work to let that family know exactly what we're doing. Can we spend all of our time looking for Susan? The answer is no. Sometimes in investigations, there's work that gets done that we're not able to explain to people or give them that information. Sometimes people in the own family, in that own nuclear group, are responsible for somebody's disappearance. And so we have to take that into account for it too. You know, the vast majority of people get killed by people they know.
Is that something you're considering in Susan's case?
We're exploring all options in Susan's case. Everything is on the table where Susan is concerned.
Liz is also following all available leads when it comes to Susan's case, and has moved her search to the road that links Rapid City to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Liz has taken us off the main streets to this back road. It's dusty, you can barely see anything. She's come here because she thinks this is where a body may be found. This remote wilderness is known locally as the Badlands, and Liz has been told bodies might be buried here. Although she hopes to find Susan alive, she needs to rule out the possibility that Susan's body is hidden here by using her cadaver dogs that are specially trained to detect human remains. Lisa, what are we doing here?
We're going to take the dogs off and eliminate this area. We're going to go around and work our way back down.
Okay.
See if we can get a hit or not.
We're joined by Antoinette, who Lisa met through a nationwide network of people highlighting the growing numbers of missing Indigenous women, men, children, and two-spirit people.
Why is it so important that women are leading this?
Well, in my opinion, women need to lead this movement because we're the life givers. So it starts with us.
When we speak of women, we think daughter, sister, mother, aunt, grandmother. So we, maybe in a sense, we have that biological connection with the people that are missing.
This is showing Antoinette the ropes here. She's brought along the dog so that Antoinette can get used to this cadaver dog. And her hope is to have a cadaver dog on every reservation so that people can help themselves and find their missing ones.
We could just ask the antelope if they've seen any of our relatives.
See? Remember I told you? She learned that from me.
Lisa's investigation now moves on to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, where Susan stays with family. It's one of the poorest counties in the US. All of America's 326 Indian reservations have their own laws, and many have their own tribal police force. This essentially makes each of them a country within a country.
Wista.
Because Liz is a regular civilian, she can search for a missing person anywhere on or off a reservation. But the US Constitution prevents state and tribal police forces from having the same freedom of movement. As John Shishlaw, who manages emergency services on Pine Ridge, explains, this can have serious consequences.
Rapid City is considered state jurisdiction, and once you're on the reservation, it's considered tribal or federal jurisdiction. And so you really don't cross those lines.
This is mine.
You know?
You stay away.
Definitely. That's exactly the way it is.
The Biden administration has committed funds to improving the chances of finding missing Indigenous women, but this won't solve the jurisdictional problems that can set back investigations.
If those agencies could work together, share the information, and be boots on the ground side by side, we would find a great deal more of our missing people.
Come on.
Do you think potentially more people have gone missing or died because there's these gaps and because there's potentially?
Undoubtedly. There's no doubt about it.
Really?
Yeah.
There is no single reason why Native women go missing, but when they do, these jurisdictional boundary issues can mean there is no one police force looking into every aspect of their case, which can stall investigations. But what John told me next is really shocking. Non-native criminals can come onto a reservation and neither the state or tribal police have the powers to arrest them. This gap in the law means some women who live on reservations may also be vulnerable to human traffickers.
Being passed around from man to man is nothing I ever wanted for my life. I would run. It was like they found me everywhere I went. It was like running from the devil himself.
A small number of women managed to escape their traffickers. One of them, who we're calling Shelby, told us her shocking story, which includes descriptions of child abuse. Tell me about when you were younger.
We didn't have running water. We were very destitute and poor. How the children look in Africa, you see them with their pot bellies because we were starving to death.
Do you remember what your first sexual experience was?
This man was a biker, and he would have been my stepfather. He would place my siblings and his own children in the bed with him and have them watch pornographic material. And they were performing sexual acts on him that they would see through the TV. My mother, she was working so much, I believe she knew. I knew she knew. And she chose not to do anything because He was part of a bigger ring.
Later in life, Shelby was targeted by traffickers who she described as being white and from off the reservation.
At first, they call you the it girl, so it makes you feel beautiful because you're finally getting some attention. When you're abused all your life and then you're told you're beautiful, oh, I'm beautiful. It has nothing to do with your beauty, just what the dollar amounts you're gonna produce for them. After I was drugged, I was taken by a car to different locations and raped for hours. I don't even know for how long. And then it was put on porno sites and being sold. It's sickening.
Shelby was trafficked for almost a decade and was eventually able to find help through a program like the Pathfinder Centre. It's housed inside an abandoned motel at a secret location, providing safe sanctuary for trafficked women. It's also unique because it offers survivors rehab that takes historical traumas into account.
Some people watching might say, how can something that happened hundreds of years ago impact you personally now? Got to get over it.
I mean, the training that I went through, I know that we are all who we are because of what we've been taught. So when they took us off our reservations and put us into these camps, women were selling themselves to the soldiers. Soldiers were already raping them. So they were already selling themselves to get more food for their kids because they were only getting rations of food that weren't going to last. I mean, you think about it, these women were picking corn out of horses' manure because they didn't have enough. So trafficking started then, and the raping of Native women started then when they put us in these camps.
I've come back to Lissa to see if she's made any progress in the search for Susan. Given the stress of these investigations, they can take their toll, and she's enjoying her first day off in 3 weeks.
I've made a lot of sacrifices. I've missed a lot of birthdays. I've missed a lot of holidays with my kids. There is no way, to replace any of that.
How much of a difference have these dogs made to your life?
Well, these are like my mates now. Hey! I know these families because we've been there ourselves. And I've been through a lot in my lifetime with my own addiction. My run-ins with law enforcement, with the street life. And if I can stand with them and help them and get a resolution for them, then it was worth it to me.
Lissa's received a tip-off about a strong smell coming from a patch of land where Susan and her husband Tommy drink together.
I don't know about Susan. I don't know. That's not like her. It is not like her to go like that. It's not.
Cecilia's known Susan and Tommy for 10 years and would pay them to do odd jobs around the ranch. Lissa wants to know more about the rumours she's heard of how Tommy would treat Susan.
He'd break up things and, get abusive and hit Susan.
Did you ever see her abused or beat up?
No. I never did.
Further questioning revealed that Cecilia was only repeating rumours she'd heard. Lissa is then left trying to piece together what's true and what's gossip. So now it's time to track down Tommy, who's been the subject of so much speculation. We arrive at Tommy's house and are met by his mum, who tells us he's inside but doesn't want to talk. She shows us a piece of Susan's craft work left unfinished.
So I'm just going to wait for her to come back and finish. This is going to hang there until she comes back and finishes.
Lissa asks if Tommy will come out and speak to us about Susan, and to our surprise, he does.
But is it because detectives or something.
No, huh?
Well,
No, but we're trying to
we're-
help you guys find Susan. Tell me about your last couple days with Susan so we can kind of try to narrow down which direction she may have gone.
Cause she used to like feeding those ducks right there. There and at Roosevelt Park.
So how did you guys get separated?
Oh, because the night before we were kind of drinking. When you're hanging over real bad, you have to keep moving. Since she said that, she told me, "Go ahead, babe, go get us something to eat, then eat and drink." So I went, got her favorite drink, Sprite, a couple heat up sandwiches, a bag of chips. In the back, she was gone.
So do you think something happened to her? Because you're kind of referring to her past tense.
No.
No? You think she's okay somewhere?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I just said used to because she's not strolling with me by the pond or anything. So.
Why are some people saying that you might know more about where she is?
Because I'm her husband. We're always together, but now we're not. And
Did you have a fight?
no, I never punched her or did anything. We yelled, argued, but just walk away for a little while. That's what we usually do.
And what would you say to Susan if she was watching, if she saw this? What would you say to her?
Just come back now. You know we love you. She knows that too.
The next day, Lissa bumps into Tommy and reminds him that she's always available should he remember anything that might help bring an end to the search for Susan.
I'll tell you right now, I've already, in my own heart, my own spirit, I've ruled you out. Yeah. I just want you to know that, you look better, you sound better. I can tell your mind is straightening out. And you look like your spirit's back, man. You have a lot of information in you that we need, that you don't even realize that you have. You know what I mean? So we have to stay in contact.
The latest news from Rapid City PD is that Susan was last seen with another homeless Indigenous man, described to us as being gentle, shy, and in many ways much like Susan. They've offered a $3,000 award for useful information. Lissa leaves for her next investigation, hundreds of miles away in North Dakota. She's given us a small glimpse into a nationwide problem that she's certain will keep her searching for years to come.